Ever see the Beatles on stage again, either performing or standing together?
Well, I think they stand up for each other every day, but together. If you say, just some people arrived, if you say anything with a possible yes in it, of course, then it's all over the world. You know, Ringo says they're getting together. But all I say is, you know, and I say no, because, I mean, it won't be this year, and I doubt it'll be next year, and it could be in 10 years, it could be in 5 years, you know. I mean, we could actually get together. There's nothing stopping us, really, bar the time and what we all want to do ourselves. You know, I'm not too interested in getting us together right now. You know, I'm interested to go into the studio and we could try and do something. I just found myself doing that.
What about the collapse of the Beatles? I mean, what ultimately triggered that?
Oh, didn't you read the paper? It was Linda McCartney. That's only a joke because we were talking about it the other day. And it won't sound funny. Oh, did you hear what he said? A lot of things. We grew up, you know, I was married with kids. John was getting, you know, divorced, and Yoko. Paul was getting Linda, Joy, and we'd got our own houses and we wanted to do separate things. I don't think there's any one thing. They all came about, you know. It's like divorce. I mean, I just went through a divorce. There wasn't a day that said this is the end of it. I mean, you have all those days that lead up to it, and that's what our breakup was like, you know, like the niggly days and the days aren't so good, and, you know, you get pissed off with that, or that went wrong. So I can't see you putting your finger on it.
Yeah. Paul, actually...
I think, you know, it's a joke the way they blame it on Linda or Yoko, you know. I mean, they are probably factors in it, as much as I was a factor in it.
Well, Paul actually said we were into fighting for a while. We were being poisoned against each other by various people. Well, mainly by one man who shall remain anonymous. Now, the guy was Alan Klein.
Who said that?
I'm assuming it was.
I didn't say it.
I'm assuming it was.
You didn't see my lips move, did you, folks?
What was that?
He said that. Not me, Al. All right. You kidding me? We're getting sued so much by everyone, you want us to go out on that line?
Okay, well...
He's a hell of a pal.
Is there a court case going up against Alan in London next year?
Yeah.
Who's it being filed by?
By us.
On what ground?
An Apple. Well, he is really attacking us by saying we can't cancel the contract with him, and we're saying, oh, yes, we can. And we're saying why we can is because of certain reasons. And he's saying, no, you can't because of certain reasons. I can't really do it, you know. We're not allowed to do this on TV or radio. Talk to my lawyer.
Okay, we'll leave that. What was your most satisfying period with the Beatles?
Well, there was a lot. You know,
times.
To pick a day. No, touring. There's some great moments of touring. Great moments of just being together. And great moments in the studio. I mean, you know, there's a lot of nice things. A lot of crazies, but there's, you know, I mean, the Palladium was a monstrous thing to do. But then we did Ed Sullivan. And we did, you know, went on to so many things, you know. First time in America was amazing. You know, coming to Australia late was amazing because I had Jimmy Nichols for that while because I was in hospital. I mean, it's, you know, to pick one moment of those 10 years, well, I couldn't.
Was Beatlemania?
I think if you pick one, it's Love Me Do, the record coming out, the first record. That was.
You never actually played on that?
No, I played on the album version because George Martin didn't think I could play either. Because we came in and we did that, and then we did Please Please Me, but I used to do Please Please Me with the tambourine in one hand, the maraca in the other, and the bass drum. And we go, Please Me, and hitting the cymbals and the drums with things, and he thought, there's a loony, spot the loony. So he brought in a drummer.
Yeah.
But of course, that was the only time. After that, I played on everything. The tracks I never played on were Love Me Do originally, USSR, which Paul played on, and The Ballads of John and Yoko. They're the three tracks all the other tracks I played on.
Is there one piece that the Beatles did that stands out way above anything else?
Well, I still love Day in the Life. You know, I think that's a good piece. I like Strawberry Fields. I mean, I tend to like that type, you know, more than though you have to acknowledge Yesterday was probably one of the best melodies ever written, but I tend to like Day in the Life and Strawberry Fields type, or George's Guitar Gently Weeps and stuff like that, you know. Or Piggies I liked.
Just before we leave the Beatles and go on to other things, was Beatlemania justified or was it healthy?
It was very healthy for everybody. Changed a few brains around. Did you?
Right. Besides albums and recording, you've been more than just interested in films. In fact, you've done quite a number of films now.
Yeah.
You made 4 with the Beatles. How?
Well, we did Hard Day's Night Help, then Magical, which was a TV movie. What was the 4th? Oh, Let It Be.
You did Let It Be.
Yeah.
No, there was another one.
Long and Winding Road, or Let It Be. Let It Be. You're not talking about Yellow Submarine.
Maybe.
That's just animation. We weren't actually in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've loved films.
Were they good sort of experiences for what was to come later on?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they were great, you know. And also, it was a good position to be thrown into your first one with your friends, you know, where we all start, you know, to go in singularly in that situation. You may have got a bit crazy, but we helped each other out.
First one you actually did by yourself was in '68. That was Candy.
Candy, yeah.
What sort of role did you have to do in that?
Well, I was a Mexican gardener in that. And I sort of get involved with the girl. So does everybody else through the movie. She wanders through the movie and she keeps making it with different people just by wandering around, you know. She's not conscious of anything, really, rather she's being used by everybody. And that was only a small part, you know, after I got Make It on the Pool Table. And then I'm in it a bit more because I was going to be a priest. So I have these big 3 raunchy sisters on motorbikes chasing the girl, and they're going to tell her off, you know. Usually the guys get into trouble, but she was getting into trouble. Is that wasp gone?
Yeah, bees. I think there's a hive down next to them. Yeah, the Magic Crystal.
So also, let me tell you, and also working with like Burton and being around Brando and people like that who were in that movie, really helps, you know, because I believe you learn more off people like that than going to school. You know, and then I did Magic Christian with Sellers, and he taught me a hell of a lot. I mean, not by sitting me down and saying, here's your lesson for the day, just by you have to watch him, you know, because he's brilliant. And, you know, everyone's working for each other, but they're also working for yourself in the movie. You know, I'd do 10 pages of dialogue, and they'd all be looking at Peter pick his nose. He never went that far, but, you know, as that sort of situation goes down upstage, and, you know, but you don't get too crazy with it because you've got to give me the lines, you know, and I have to give you the dialogue line to make the plot make any sense. But there's a few tricks you pick up, you know.
You played the part of Merlin in Harry Nilsson's...
in Son of Dracula. I produced that movie.
What ultimately happened to the movie?
Well, we're still working on it.
Is it ever going to get to the screens?
It did. We opened in Atlanta. We were the first movie to open in Atlanta since Gone with the Wind.
When did that?
A couple of years ago, 3 years ago. We had 12,000 kids there. And as soon as we left, they took the movie off. And we could only play it in like 1 cinema towns, because if there was any competition, they hated it. But it was the first rock and roll musical, you know, Dracula horror movie musical.
You also played a part of Frank Zappa in a film called 200 Motel.
As Frank, I play Frank Zappa because he wouldn't play himself.
Yeah.
He'd only play his guitar.
Yes, what was that experience like?
That was great. That was very fast because we did it on videotape. He did all the editing on the tape and then transferred it to film, so there's some weird effects. I've never seen the movie. I've been told.
Born to Boogie.
Born to Boogie was a thing I wanted to do with Mark Bolan.
Which you did.
Which I produced and practically directed.
Do you call it a success?
it was a success in England. I don't think it went anywhere else. EMI handled it, I don't know. But we couldn't get rid of it here. They wouldn't take it off us. Even his record company, when he was with Warner's, we brought it over. I mean, if they should have bought it as a promotion film for him, but they never did anything, you know. They were too busy.
That'll Be the Day was probably the most famous film you've appeared in, or would it be?
Well, I don't know about most famous. That's the best I've ever been. Well, and that's because I learn all the tricks from the other movies, you know, and I get better all the time. So the next one, I'll be terrific. In between that, I did a movie that not many people know about called Blind Man, which was a spaghetti western. I did that because I have this sort of image, like, you know, a sad, happy clown sort of image. And so in that one, I was another Mexican, and I raped the girl, stabbed her father, and beat up everybody. Because I'm like a paranoid brother of the bandit chief in old Mexico, so that was good fun. They kept putting me on horses. I don't particularly like horses. And of course, they found, you know, Mount Olympus for me to ride, and not really liking him, so we had to cut because I couldn't get on this horse. The stirrup was eye level, you know, so I had to try and get my leg up there. So we had to cut every time I got to the horse and did that. Then they'd lift me on. It was so big, you know.
Cut the. Have you got any plans for any new films?
Well, yes, I've said I'm interested in two things, but you see, you say that with movies, and then they have to find the money, you know, and together, because movies are expensive things. But there's one I'm really interested in. It's called The Man Who Was Magic, and they think that will go next year, or the end of this year if we're lucky.
Yeah. I think we'll move on to some of the stuff we have got on film. Off your Goodnight Vienna album, the title track, is there a specific story behind the theme of Goodnight Vienna?
Well, yes, John wrote the track, and it's an old sort of saying, you know, it's all down to Goodnight Vienna when you can't do nothing about it. So, also I like science fiction. And it was like, you know, the spaceship thing. We just cut Michael Rennie's head off, because that's from The Day the Earth Stood Still. And put mine on and Gort, the monster. And it was like, well, it's all down to Goodnight Vienna. I'm leaving for a while. You feel like that occasionally, you know, stop the world and let me off. There was nothing really deep in it. I just enjoy the sci-fi cover. And that title, it all seemed to tie into me.
What about Only One You?
Only You?
Only You.
Well, that's an old song again. And when John was down, we was just singing it, you know. And we thought, yeah, let's do that. And I did it, and it turned out, as far as I'm concerned, very good. So we put it out as a single, you know. And we have this film clip that you're going to love to see with me and Harry Nilsson on top of the Capitol Tower. And Stanley Dorfman did it. I don't know if you know about Stanley over there, Cobbers. He did all the in-concerts. Did you get the English in-concerts he did?
We had, yeah, some in-concerts for a while.
Well, he did those. So, and then while we were doing that, also, that night, I did a laser show off my chest. You know, the big star. When you see the clip, you see I have a big mirror star on. These lasers to me, and, you know, lasers will bounce 200 miles. So on all the buildings downtown, I was lasering all over them. So it was a good day. We had the marching band. It was just, it was fun to do, you know. So that's that clip. We did the Back Off Boogaloo clip in England. We did photographs from the Ringo album, which the BBC did, but you see, you're not allowed to mime in England anymore. Or you weren't then, so I do this whole song, well, all the intro behind my hand, so you don't see the sync, you know, lips in sync, because then the union would say naughty. So I did the whole first verse.
That's a photograph.
Every time I see your face.